They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
We're getting closer to his return, and the closer we get to him, the faster things are going to happen. The faster the healings, the faster the deliverance, the faster...
Go. Start. Blast off. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh, yes, boys and girls, warm welcome to Crypto 7 and a very, very special stream and a very, very big stream because it's Richard Hart's birthday and he has referenced his birthday on X this morning, guys, and he's referenced the fact that somebody's done a nice website with an update on stats and also some information on him, which is very, very good. So it's definitely his birthday because Richard says it's his birthday. So if we all imagine that when you send me a super chat, you're sending Richard some birthday wishes. No, joke. Well, am I joking? I don't know. Really don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm late. I have been talking to myself for a while, if I'm honest about it. I haven't been deliberately leaving you here, so I'm going to go straight to the chat just to show my appreciation to the people that are already here. We got Crypto Mike was first. So Crypto Mike's been waiting a while for me. I'm really sorry, guys. I've been talking to myself. So Crypto Cat Doge was second. Hextralian Stew was third. Hextralian Stew says eHex is holding strong. Yes, it is. We're going to talk about Hex. We're going to talk about a lot of things. The theme of this stream is Hug the Fear. And so you're going to really like that. And so I wasn't streaming yesterday and I was able to think. And I think that probably provides more value. I think just producing content all the time at the moment is probably not the way. Probably me reflecting and thinking about the things that you are going to benefit from hearing from. So you make it out of this cycle alive, however long this cycle lasts, and it now looks more and more likely that there's no reason it's going to adhere to the previous timescales because more and more it's not adhering to anything that it used to do. It's, you know, it's an institutionally driven cycle to a greater extent than I appreciated or I think anyone out there appreciated. It's very much now, as we say on Crypto 7, we have been colonized by Wall Street. We have been colonized. We are part of them. They are not part of us. And they're going to decide when the cycle ends. And at the moment, gold is parabolic, having its best year in 50 years, having its best year in half a century, guys. So what we're going to do, I'm going to write Happy Birthday, Richard. I'd love everyone to join me in just writing Happy Birthday, Richard. Let's see how many we get. This is one of the few streamers that still gets decent views. Maybe he'll listen. Maybe he knows we've got a good community. He might be wanting to practice his English pronunciation. You never know. He might be watching. Stranger things have happened, guys. Let's do this, everyone. Let's do this. So I've got a really bullish stream. As I say, hug the fear. What's that about? Let's tell you what that's about. Let's shout out a few more people and tell you what that's about. We've got some really good TA. Really good to get some good TA at the moment. The thing with the TA guys is they are not emotionally driven. Say hi on the way in, everyone. Tickle the like button, slap the sub button, and ring that bell button, baby. Because I'm going to be streaming probably a little bit less often now, about the same amount of time as Corey Geary, I think. It's even more important that you've made sure you're subscribed. It's even more important that you've made sure you've tapped the bell because YouTube punishes streamers that don't stream every day. How dare you have a day off, Crypto 7? So how dare you be reflecting for your community? How dare you be researching? Why aren't you just churning out more and more content? Super chats are enabled, guys. Let's do this, everyone. Hextralian Stew, we've shouted you out already. Crypto and Coffee says that the cores are oversold now and a great buy now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I think this is a good point, Crypto and Coffee, to link to the theme of this stream, which I think you're all going to find incredibly useful. And if you do, then you know what to do. You know what to do with the sub, like, and super chat button. But anyway, enough about that. So in the 10 years that I've been in crypto, any time that I was fearful, and I have been fearful at times in crypto, was always the time to buy. And any time that I was feeling extremely greedy was always the time to take profit. I say take profit rather than sell it all to go into the dollar, because one of the things we're going to be talking about in this cycle is where are you going to think you're going to be going? The reason that gold has had its best year in 50 years, half a century, is because there's now a crisis of confidence in the dollar, which means a tsunami of economic energy going to fixed assets. Now, crypto is the best fixed asset. Whether everyone appreciates it yet or not, it is. It's just the digital version of gold. So it is the best. Crypto is the best fixed assets. And so at some point, you'd have to assume that they are going to go in very, very hard. I actually think that the success of crypto, success of gold rather, in recent months and weeks, as good as it is in the medium to long term for crypto, it probably creates a little bit of a short-term issue, if you like. I wouldn't say problem, a short-term issue, which is just that while gold is going to the moon, printing those fat green candles that we're waiting for in Hex and PulseChain, why are you going to dabble in crypto when you can just keep doing what you've always done, and your dad always did, and your granddad always did, which was to buy gold? So whilst gold is outperforming Bitcoin, which it currently is, this year it has outperformed crypto so far being the operative word, yeah, guys? Then why wouldn't you just keep going with that? You've already got an agent somewhere that gets your gold for you. You know the process. You can see it's outperforming Bitcoin currently. So why wouldn't you? Equally, when it eventually takes a break, because it's a much bigger market cap, guys, keep in mind that it's a much, much bigger market cap than Bitcoin, of course. So at some point, it's going to get hard. It's going to take more and more buyers, an exponential amount of new buyers, and eventually you run out of new buyers. Whether it's Hex on Ethereum in 2021 or Ethereum in 2021 or anything else, eventually in the cycle, you run out of buyers. So at the moment, gold is going straight up. And at some point, it's going to have to start slowing down. That's when I think we're going to see a tsunami into crypto. BlackRock is signaling it. So we had another big green day in Ethereum and Bitcoin yesterday, which is very, very bullish. Very, very bullish. But that's where we are. So has everyone wished Richard happy birthday yet? It's compulsory, guys, okay? It's the price of admission into this stream. You've got to wish Richard Heart happy birthday. Cairo's in the house. Fantastic. Watched your stream yesterday. Very, very good. Make sure to subscribe to Cairo. And yeah, you're mentioning Arthur Hayes here. I caught a bit of it. I did hear him saying he thinks the cycle is going to go into 2026. This cycle is very different to previous cycles. And every day of this cycle, it's starting to feel more and more different. This issue with gold is very unusual. Well, you know, it's having its best year in half a century. So obviously it's outperforming where it was in the last cycle or the cycle before that or the cycle before that for crypto. At some point, we should follow that because we are just the better version of gold. NASDAQ is going to the moon. NASDAQ had a very, very good day yesterday. And initially, it looked like we were going to go straight back up like a yo-yo. But that's not how crypto performs. That's not how markets perform. We were going into a much-needed correction, and this TA guy we're going to listen to now is going to explain that to you guys. Please help us out with the algo. I think because I'm late, there's not as many people viewing as there should be, and it's Richard Hart's birthday and all that good stuff. But let's listen to a little bit of TA now, which I think you'll find really, really, really reassuring, guys. No, but before that, look how much NASDAQ went up in yesterday. 1.12, absolutely fantastic. Because the day before it was red, and that's what prompted us to start a corrective move. But 1.12 is a lot in NASDAQ. If we zoom out a little bit on the 6 months chart, you can see that NASDAQ's doing incredibly well. And of course, we are part of NASDAQ now. You can now get crypto on NASDAQ. You do now have a lot of people who play in NASDAQ, want to play in crypto, and will want to play in crypto for the next 6 months or whatever. Every day, it looks less and less likely that we are going to finish this bull market anytime soon, because everything else is going to the moon. So why on earth would we? When silver's at all-time high, gold's at all-time high. I'm sure paintings and fine wine are at all-time highs at the moment because people just want fixed assets. There's no confidence in the dollar. And that's reflected here, guys. Yes, yes, yes. Smash the likes, everyone. Again, apologies for being late. I think my view numbers are punishing me because I was late. People must have given up listening and waiting. But anyway, I'm live now, and hopefully more and more people come in, and more you engage, the more people get to hear about your investments, more people that will get to join Richard Hart's birthday party with us. And that's a nice thing, isn't it, guys? So we had a bounce yesterday because NASDAQ had a very strong bounce, but really we were in part of a corrective move. And this TA guy that we're going to listen to now is going to talk some more about why we're in a corrective move, why he thinks we're going to be at 130,000 in the next 10 days, or by the end of the month at the latest. So very, very bullish, and why he thinks that going down to 118 would be perfect and would set us up for a nice rally. So that's basically what he's saying, but I think it's nice to hear from him talking about it now. Let's do this, everyone.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about why a massive breakout is coming very, very soon to Bitcoin. I'm going to be sharing with you why after this corrective movement that Bitcoin finds itself in right now, we are going to see a major rally back up above the current all-time high of $126,500 that was set back on Monday. I firmly believe that after a bottom is found, Bitcoin is going to have an explosive Q4, and you're going to see Bitcoin rally all the way up to at least $150,000 to $180,000 this year. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Bitcoin is currently sitting at $123,421. And if we come to a cleaner chart here, you can see that Bitcoin has been taking a much needed and very healthy corrective movement. If you guys will remember, on Monday, we had a call that you should exit long trades here at $125,300. That call so far has been pretty helpful because, as you can see, we ended up having a nice entry down here around $120,000. Yesterday, we made a prediction that Bitcoin would drop down to about $5,000 to $6,000 off of all-time high, and we would drop back down to $120,000. That video was shot at approximately 9:15 in the morning yesterday. It went up at 9:31 in the first cohort Discord server, and that took place right here. Right there, we made a prediction that Bitcoin would drop back down to $120,000, about $5,000 to $6,000 off of all-time high, and that ended up happening in the preceding 5 hours, where we dropped back down to $120,600. Specifically speaking, Bitcoin dropped down to the Fibonacci retracement, which is exactly where we predicted Bitcoin would drop down to, at the 0.786 Fibonacci retracement level when you draw a fib off of the previous all-time high.
So he's good at his calls, guys.
Down towards our most recent highest low, which our lowest low, which was $107,000. Our Fibonacci, of course, was sitting right here at 120K. So far, we've been right on the money. And I believe that that's going to continue. From here, what I expect to happen is I expect Bitcoin to attempt to break above its current all-time high, but I'm not yet totally convinced that that's going to take place as quickly as we would like. At the moment, Bitcoin faces a downtrend that looks a little bit something like this. And if Bitcoin is not able to get above this downtrend and break through $125,000 or so, it's very possible that another drop back down towards $120,000 could occur. If that happens, then an inverse head and shoulders pattern like this,
and that looks like that's what's in play now, doesn't it, guys?
Would be formed, and that would end up most likely being the catalyst that would cause Bitcoin to break out up towards our eventual October 15th price target of $130,000.
So the red we're seeing today is setting us up, according to this guy, for 130K Bitcoin within about a week.
Is of course possible that Bitcoin takes longer than October 15th to break up towards all-time high. We have tentatively said that the all-time high, a price target of $130,000 by October 15th is our price target, but we've also said that it's possible that that could be kicked all the way back to the end of October.
That's interesting that the TA guy is saying that $130,000 Bitcoin could be kicked back to all the way to the end of October, because firstly, that's less than 3 weeks away. Secondly, that punctuates with the Fed meeting, of course. And we had some Fed minutes released yesterday, guys. If at any point you're getting value, make sure to tickle the like, smash the sub, and super chats are enabled. So we had a Fed meeting yesterday, and it looks like they are all in agreement that we're going to get a 25 basis points cut. And so I thought it was interesting that the TA guy is saying that we may have to wait till the end of the month for 130K, because another rate cut may be the thing that we need to get us convincingly over the 130. At that point, it's going to be a wonderful time to be in crypto again, because we are going to be at the wake for the bears. We are going to be at the bears' funeral. And, you know, unless you're a bear, unless you're selling your Hex and PulseChain, unless you're going into short positions, this is going to be a joyous time for you. And so let's listen on.
Bitcoin needs to have a deeper correction here than we otherwise are expecting. So the real test that we need to see before we can be confident about our next call is what Bitcoin is going to do with this bearish safety line right here. If you're in a short trade, this is your bearish safety line. If we break up above that, it is then time to exit that short trade. And unfortunately for any of you guys in shorts right now, it is a relatively shallow short trade, so it's not actually helping you to lock in too many profits. It's part of the reason why I recommended against longing or shorting Bitcoin up here on Twitter and on videos over the last few days, simply because it is difficult to discern how far or which direction Bitcoin is going to go in at this current point in time. That said, I do think over the next 7 days, you're going to see a major rally on Bitcoin that will most likely send us well above $126,000. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the long-term perspective.
That's what we need. A major rally in the next 7 days to send us above 126. And that's when the nervous 4-year maxis are going to start to eight back into Hex and PulseChain.
Perspective, because how we get to 130 over the next week is something to consider, but how we end up breaking well above 130 is something that I find even more interesting, and that has everything to do with the price of gold. We mustn't forget that Bitcoin is digital gold, which means that we have to look at what gold is doing to see what Bitcoin is going to do next. And there is a very strong correlation between the price of gold and the price of Bitcoin. Historically speaking, when you see a major rally on gold, you almost always see a few things take place. Number one, if it's the size of rally that we're witnessing right now, it generally signals the death of a global empire. This being denominated in the United States dollar gives us concern that we are seeing the death of the United States dollar, at least over the span of the next few decades. I do think that this major rally on gold signals a major crisis in confidence of our fiat currencies that we have not seen in a very long time. The last time we saw a rally anything like this was during the 70s, when we were seeing 10 and 20% CPI inflation, along with 10 to 20% interest rates from the Fed. So we have not seen a gold run like this in almost a half of a century. And the last time we saw this was during a hyperinflationary cycle similar to the one that we are in right now and that we're probably going to continue into. Now, what does this mean for Bitcoin? Well, gold has now, as of the last few days, put in the highest RSI reading in over 50 years. The last time that we saw the RSI this high was 52 years ago in July of
So you think that the crypto bull market's going to end when gold is doing this well?
1973, when RSI rallied up to 94. Once again, these RSI peaks were put up here during one of the major scares that we saw back in the 70s about inflation. Again, you were seeing rampant devaluation of the United States dollar as a result of the breaking of the Bretton Woods Agreement that would take the United States dollar off of the gold standard, and that funded the way for all kinds of wild and wacky things that we were doing with our currency. At that time, when that massive rally happened on gold, you ended up seeing a crisis in currency and a crisis in confidence, and Bitcoin didn't exist back then, but now it does. And so when you see a crisis in confidence on the dollar, you typically see gold run. Well, what we do know also is that when gold runs, Bitcoin runs. And so what we're expecting to happen over the next several months is that a major rally is going to take place on gold, and that is going to send Bitcoin through the roof. Right now, Bitcoin is below a lot of very powerful resistance that when it breaks, it's really going to get very, very interesting. We've got this long-term uptrending level of resistance that looks a lot like gold's uptrending level of resistance that we saw break several.
So, I mean, very, very powerful. I mean, you can see what this guy's expecting crypto to go to the moon over the next 3 months. Now, is it going to? I don't know for sure. But you'd have to say calmly that there's a lot more reasons suggesting it will than it won't. And that very soon we will know, even as we start to go up again into all-time high price discovery for Bitcoin, then that's going to start to start to invalidate a lot of the bear theories and things. It's going to start to scalp a lot of the bears. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if gold can do this much, then what could Bitcoin do if it's there, if it starts to experience the same thing? But it looks like the market makers are trying to slow that process down, perhaps because they're enjoying making a lot of money in gold. Perhaps they want to make as much money in gold as possible and then flip to crypto. But the narrative's all set up because everyone's talking about gold. I even bumped into some 20-somethings who had a little gold syndicate. And who'd have thought in the last cycle or the cycle before that you'd have 20-somethings who work in coffee shops buying gold? See how different this looks and feels. How long before we start to see the move into Bitcoin? And then, of course, people get it now. They get that the dollar is in big, big, big trouble. They get they need to buy things, even like shiny rocks from the ground, anything other than the dollar. How long before they start to get that the thing that Trump's all about and Eric Trump and Elon Musk and all these people are shilling is actually the real thing they should be getting? And who knows? Do we then just keep going until maybe May? Does May, when we get a new Fed chair, become the sort of buy the rumor, sell the news? Do we keep going till Q1? I don't know. Do we just have an insane rally for 2 or 3 months? Because that would get us what we want. You see how far crypto can move in a day. What if we do start a rally in next week or something, as this guy's suggesting, and we finally see euphoria? We finally see the blow off top, then maybe that would be fine then, because Ethereum's going to be at 20K, Bitcoin's going to be at 250,000. Who knows where Hex and PulseChain will be, but it could be a lot, particularly if certain things happen. Speaking about certain things happening, does everyone wish Richard Heart a birthday wish? I'm a little bit, because I'm tired and because I was streaming for 30 minutes without actually being streaming, I'm now getting a bit confused about what I've said and what I haven't said. So if I say it twice, I'm really sorry. But we've got an interesting post. I think I've mentioned that Richard Heart has referenced his birthday today. So it's definitely his birthday. I think I've referenced that there's a new website which includes a lot of nice PulseChain statistics and also has got a section on Richard Heart. And I may have mentioned that it's very well written in my view. And so very impressive stuff. And Streets to Satoshi says here, RH's personal website disappeared when SEC attacked. Now it has re-emerged. Interpol is getting paid off. That's a delicious theory. I know that Corey Geary, massive shout out to my buddy Corey Geary. Yeah. There's something wrong with you if you don't like Corey Geary. So the Corey has got a theory. Well, it's more than a theory, in fact. In fact, I wasn't going to talk about it. So thank you, Street Satoshi, if you're still here. Thank you for mentioning this, because let's talk about this. And we're going to talk about Hex a lot. But this isn't particularly relevant specifically to Hex, actually. Corey Geary is well connected. And he has a legal friend who tells him, who is well respected in the community, who tells him that they are in advanced negotiations around Finland/Interpol. Because Finland, when you hear Finland, think Interpol. When you hear Interpol, think Finland. So Finland has sort of prompted Interpol, So it's leverage. The whole Interpol thing is leverage for Finland to get the money off Richard. Now, what Corey Geary has heard is that a number that he thinks that they might settle on would be around the 15 to 30 million, I think he said. And so he thinks it's quite interesting that the amount that has come off the SAC Treasury Reserve thing is 25 million, 20 million, 25 million, something like that. It's in that bracket that the lawyer said he thought they might settle in at. Look, this is speculation. It's a little bit better than talking about Peg Leg Larry or some, fake alt account on X or something that doesn't actually exist. This is a real person sharing a real theory, but it is high grade speculation. Okay, but I tell you what, guys, I got to be honest with you. If that money is to pay off Finland so that Richard can do a few strategic streams at the right time, I would much prefer that than it was just to create a pump in the ecosystem, because Richard being able to stream as the most charismatic founder would be such an event for your investments. And when if you're listening in, even the speculation of it has got to be worth an investment at Hex and PulseChain in these prices. As Crypto and Coffee said, these are really good entry prices now. We're warming up in the chat. Thanks very much for that. If you come in, just make sure you've subscribed and tap the bell, because I'm only going to stream a few times a week like my buddy Corey from here, because view numbers are bad, and I want to be thinking about the strategy and making sure that my content when I deliver it is as good as it can be. So if it is the case that this is to get Finland off our back, oh my goodness, I would love it. I would love it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know, Richard was talking about Joe Rogan, which was very, very strange to me, because I couldn't understand why on earth Richard would be talking about the value of going on Joe Rogan if he hadn't had a conversation with Joe Rogan about potentially going on. Now, of course, we all know there's Tibetan nomads and Himalayan goat farmers that know that Richard's not in a position to go on Joe Rogan at the moment. Nonetheless, why on earth would he be shilling Joe Rogan if he hadn't had a conversation that went along the lines of, when I get this legal stuff cleared, I would love to come on your show. And Joe Rogan goes, when you get that legal stuff cleared, I'd love to have you on. I think so. Because he mentioned Joe Rogan a few times and the value of going on Joe Rogan, how great the Joe Rogan channel is. If that wasn't because he was a little bit excited and just wanted to give people a little Easter egg there, a little sniff, a little hint at what might be coming. And this is what I'm saying, and this is why Corey Geary's thinking around the possibility that the money that came off the SAC wallet is to pay off Finland/Interpol is so amazing. Because can you imagine if we get into altcoin season and Richard goes on Joe Rogan? Now, I'm asking you to imagine two things there, okay? So if you like, let's imagine somehow, even with NASDAQ going like this and gold going like this and everyone rushing to anything but the dollar, somehow the best fixed asset is completely overlooked and we go into a bear market, then even then, if Corey Geary's right and the 25 million is to pay off Finland/Interpol, we are going to be the sexiest ecosystem in the whole world. And then we're going to have the money from Solana, from Aptos, from Sui, from Say, from BNB, you name it. Everyone's going to come in because Richard Heart has beaten SEC and now beaten Interpol as well. And he's able to do the thing that he does best. He does lots of things well. He's good at chin-ups. He's good at launching stuff. But the best thing he does, I think, is streaming. I think the best thing he does is streaming. And so if he could do a few streams, that would be absolutely insane. or if he just went on Joe Rogan. I'm not even sure he'd need to stream if he went on Joe Rogan. I see people in the chat very excited about Hex on Ethereum, and I'm very excited about Hex on Ethereum. You know what we say on Crypto 7. What do we say on Crypto 7? I am the leader of Hex on Ethereum.
Oh my God, 7. Stop saying you're the leader of Hex and Ethereum.
And I'm seeing people in the chat saying, what if we all went back to Hex on Ethereum? At least it would give people an opportunity to get rich in this cycle and not have to wait till the next cycle, which you may or may not have to do if you stay just in PulseChain. And people that know me will know I'm not talking my bag there, because my smallest bag is eHex just because of the current dollar value of eHex. I'm talking against my bag when I say that. No self-interest there. But just imagine if everyone just went, do you know what? I'm going back to Hex. And all the new people who were never in Hex or who currently aren't in Hex will go, do you know what? If all those rich people are going back to eHex, and eHex is the price it is, still a third of a Hex on PulseChain for no good reason, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to show a clip. I'm not sure if I've said this to you already. We're going to show a clip of Johnny Chaos on Credo Crypto talking about Hex, and some nice comments from yeah, the guys there, Ewok, it's talking about Hex on Ethereum and how bullish he is on Hex on Ethereum. I'm seeing more and more people saying that they're bullish on Hex on Ethereum. So yeah, if you didn't know, I think Ben Armstrong, BitBoy, relinquished his self-appointed role as leader of Hex on Ethereum, and I have taken on the baton. It's an unpaid role, I stress to add, unpaid voluntary role, but we're doing well since we took over the role, guys. Them's the facts. Trav says, happy birthday, Richard. Crypto and Coffee says, happy birthday, Richard. Academaciated, morning 7. The Wire Writer says, hey. Chiz says, finally catching a live. Been a while. Light up the chat, guys. It's Richard's birthday. It's Richard's birthday. It's called PulseChain Stats or something, Ferdy. We're going to show that in a minute. I've got some other things to look at first. We like to start on the macro on Crypto 7 so we get the big picture. So this guy's showing us a big picture. Have we listened to enough of this? Let's just check if we've... I think we've heard enough. Let's just listen a bit more.
Several weeks ago, about a year and a half ago, we saw this uptrending level of resistance break, right? It looks very similar over on the Bitcoin chart. We also have, of course, this bearish RSI divergence on the daily chart that has called for this correction and will probably sustain this correction, possibly lower than 120. Right now, our call is 120. We hit 120. I'm not going to update that call yet because I don't have enough information to give you a concrete and firm prediction. I don't like to make predictions unless I have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence in what Bitcoin's going to do over the next few days. But I am waiting for it to give me some more bullishness before I can firmly say that we're about to break out and head back towards all-time high in the next few days. That said, Bitcoin is below this uptrending level of resistance, is below this downtrending level of resistance on the RSI. We are also below $2.5 trillion of market cap. So when Bitcoin went up to its most recent high, what you will see.
Yeah, I think we've heard enough there. So, yeah, let's... So I've mentioned... So another good thing to do at these times is to zoom out and just look at where we are in the month view. And what you can see is that September was actually green, even though your sentiment tells you it wasn't. September was green for Bitcoin, and that is actually quite unusual. And what you can see when I actually put it up is that September was green, and often September isn't green, it's red. But always when September's green, it follows a green October. And so far, we're already green 6.34. We were green 5% last month, 6.34. So zoom out, calm down, relax. As I say, I think the secret is to hug the fear, as I say. And so in my time in crypto, I have found that every time I'm fearful, it's when I should be greedy, and every time I'm very greedy, it's when I should be taking some profit. So if you are fearful about your investments in Hex and PulseChain, that's probably a really good sign. So fear is your friend. And if you're getting value, make sure to subscribe and all that good stuff. So I would say in your crypto investment journey, fear is your friend. If you've got fear, you're safe. If you've got fear on your shoulder, you're safe. Is there fear? I can feel some fear. Can you feel some fear? I can feel fear all around me. Like I say, there's lots of fear out there, but that's always been the time that it's been the time to invest. It's never been the time to take profit or sell. Never. Could it be this time? It could. You know, could you win the lottery this weekend? You could. Anyone could win the lottery this weekend if they buy a ticket. Will they win? Highly unlikely. Will this be a complete reversal while gold's going to the moon and Nasdaq's going to the moon? Will suddenly we go into a bear market? I don't think so. But like this guy says, it would do us no harm if we just stay around here for a bit, and maybe towards the end of the month, as long as we don't go too low. 118 is a point he'd love to see us get to, as long as we don't go too low, and then we're setting ourselves up for a giant rally. And of course, at that point, things are going to start to feel even more different, and hopefully the whole 4-year cycle narrative is going to start to diminish. Remember, of course, that in every bull market I've been in crypto, the bear markets always come when the cryptos that I've been invested in have gone many orders of magnitude higher than probably their fair market valuation. And so that then necessitates a big correction. We haven't seen that in Hex and PulseChain. As Johnny says, and we're going to show a clip of Johnny, we've pretty much just been in the bear market. We're below sack prices. So it's possible that we see very little correction. I met with an investor this morning who I got into Hex and PulseChain, and I said, the play is just to hold it now. I mean, he's been buying quite a lot. So like many of us, I didn't feel I wanted to tell him to buy. I don't think he would have said he wanted to either. We've all waited a long time, but he'll probably want to buy when we do a 10x. You know the story. But I didn't even try that one. But I said, whatever you do, don't sell it here. It's crazy. Because, at some point, the Interpol thing will get sorted. It has to be. Like all these things always get sorted in the end. It would be ridiculous for that to stay on. I mean, it looks odd. It looks odd that he's on there at all. Any fair-minded person would go, can we have a look at why is this crypto guy on here? What's he actually done? Or he's actually done nothing. Can we just take him off then? At one point, when they're trying to deal with serious issues and global crime and terrorists, did you think maybe we should take this guy off this bloody list? It's got to happen sooner or later, hasn't it, guys? Pookie Doo's in the house. We got Chris B, Trevor Fulton. So he's catching up. Brilliant. So big stream today because it's Richard's birthday. Hex is doing very well. I've mentioned zoom out. On red days, I sometimes just look at this just to keep an eye. So as you can see. Now, yesterday we had another lovely green day for the ETFs. And Bitcoin, we had basically $500 million of Bitcoin bought yesterday. And that's fabulous, of course. Most of it from BlackRock. And that's fine because everyone follows BlackRock. If we had lots of people doing something, but BlackRock wasn't, that's the time to be worried. But when BlackRock's doing something, even if some of the others aren't, don't worry, because you never get sacked as an institution copying BlackRock. So that's good. Let's look over at Ethereum. Was that green as well? Yes, it was. It was green. 69 million. Day before was nearly $500 million. So that was a very, very nice day. 69 million. We just need that Ethereum above 5,000. And hopefully the next Bitcoin move upwards will get it. And we've listened to the TA guy explaining why he thinks that we're going to 130,000 at some point this month. And then his ultimate targets, I think, is 200,000, something like that. Very, very bullish. Of course, we're interested in Ethereum when that finally gets above 5,000 and we can really start moving. And we think we've showed already NASDAQ. Now, very bullish is that the Fed minutes came out yesterday, and the Fed minutes suggest that they're all in agreement. There should be another rate cut next month. And I think also evidence that they're going to go for 25 basis points. And so we can see this here, guys. It's up on screen now. So we've got a 90% chance of a rate cut later this month from the Fed. And it's, a 90% chance of 25 basis points, but also a 2% chance of 50 basis points. So that's reduced a bit. And the Fed minutes suggests that they're probably not going to get agreement on 50 basis points. But I think it was only at a 4% likelihood before. And the probability of 25 basis points has increased from 80-something to 90%. And there's only an 8% chance of no change. So that's very, very strong. So I think we've got that rate cut locked in now. And obviously those Fed minutes could have been a banana skin on the lead up to that. Now, this is obviously great because this means that people can borrow money more easily, which means an injection of capital into businesses. And it means that people can, if they wanted to, they could even borrow money to buy crypto and things, but also that they're paying less on their mortgage, they're paying less on their loans, and that means they've got more free capital available, more money in the back pocket to buy crypto. So we've only had one tiny little rate cut so far, one 25 basis points cut, but we get a second one. Okay, we're at 0.5% now. So that's you're going to start feeling that in your wallet. You're going to hear about gold. It's already gone to the moon. What are you going to think if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s? You've heard that gold's gone to the moon because there's a crisis in the dollar. You're going to think, oh, and now you're seeing cryptos going up. You're going to think, I miss gold. I have to be in crypto, aren't you guys? It's obvious. I mean, I think so. You'll have to tell me why not. I know we've all become anxious waiting, but I think really it, you know, you got to think if it does play out the way I think it will and hope it will, everyone's going to think it was so obvious. Gold was at all-time high. NASDAQ was going to the moon. NASDAQ have incorporated crypto. They've colonized us. It was so obvious that Bitcoin was going to go to $250,000. It was so obvious that Tom Lee was right and that the Ethereum was going to go to 10K before the end of the year. Oh, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Maybe that's what Richard's waiting for. I do like that comment. What was that comment again? That was really good, wasn't it, guys? What do people think of this comment about Interpol from this guy here? So Street Satoshi says, RH's personal website disappeared when SEC attacked. Now it has re-emerged. Therefore, Interpol getting paid off. I mean, Richard has been more direct in his promotion of his cryptos as well on X, which is another thing that I thought, well, if he was worried about that stuff, he seems to be very free in his promoting of his cryptos. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, and again, and very clear as well that he is linked to a lot of this stuff. He's not making any secret of it, you know. So the information on Richard Heart on this PulseChain Stats website has been updated, and Richard is telling you it's been updated. Richard is posting about the tablets. So 100,000 now have been circulated, and there's another load coming in. Presumably this is container ship 2 or container ship 3, I don't know. But they're soon going to have a stock of 700,000. All going to rich, affluent addresses. Or you want to sell all your Hex and PulseChain at these prices? I know I don't. 86 people watching now. That's really appreciated. Super chats are enabled if you appreciate me soldiering on for you guys. But, you know, at the end of the day, crypto isn't easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It does look like it's going to be the faithful that survive. It is funny. People are saying, why don't we all just buy the shit out of Hex on Ethereum? You know, I mean, you know, a small amount of money becomes a lot of money. If you buy 10,000 Hex on Ethereum and it does 100x, you got $1 million. But it did a 10,000x last time, and at these prices, why couldn't it do that again? If it does, if we as a community started to buy, I'm not saying sell all your PulseChain, I'm not saying sell all your PLSX, sell all your PDI and PDGC, but I'm just saying if everyone put 10% of their RH ecosystem bag into eHex now, what would it do for the price with the current liquidity? What would it do? We're going to listen to Johnny Chaos, as they say on Creed of Crypto, shout out to them, talking about Hex and how unlikely it is, in his view, that Richard would ever say anything again about anything remotely negative about Hex on Ethereum, because he has learned now that saying anything remotely negative about one of the core coins, and Hex on Ethereum is a core coin, causes brand damage across the ecosystem. Yes, it does, guys. Yes, it does. So we've shown how the institutions are going in hard on crypto still. I know some people say, oh, that doesn't really count, and blah, blah, blah. I don't really get that. I mean, it's like the best advert ever. Are the institutions buying a metric shit ton of crypto or not? Yes, they are. Okay, so we want to make that a negative thing? I think that's a bit of a fugazi. Oh, that's not a good thing, you know. Of course it's a bloody good thing. Oh, dear. Should we focus on Hex now? As we try to market the ecosystem, if we could get viral on Hex on Ethereum, if we could get everyone talking about Hex on Ethereum, that then leads the conversation to, now you've made some money in Hex on Ethereum, do you want to bridge over? Do you want to take that extra step to use Hyperlane or something and get into PulseChain? But if Hex on Ethereum becomes the first thing, it's not a bad thing, is it, guys? Let's listen to. I really like Ewok from Creative Crypto. He's very, very good. And let's listen to a little bit now.
Why is he going to do more brand damage to himself? Because we've already seen how much damage that's caused. It doesn't make any sense. Then nobody would buy any Hex at all. You literally have to. He doesn't want everybody watching it, and accounts for the money that's the rest side. We have money that's only there. They don't know what price we got. They don't know what they don't know what SAC rate was. They don't know what this was, what that was. They don't care. They don't have any of that previous perform bias. They have today's price is the price. The new norm is the norm. And the new opportunity is the new opportunity. They're not going to listen to our lectures. They've got no interest in what we got to say whatsoever.
They don't even know we're here, let alone.
They don't even care. And that's the thing with getting Hex and PulseChain out there into households that don't even know it exists. Because, like I said, crypto space ain't going to help us.
Yeah.
So if we want to blockbuster the exchanges, we need to get people on Coast. We need to get people on Internet Money Wallet. We need to get them directly into PulseChain. But that is a hard task to set up your stand outside the big city and expect everybody come to your stand. That is a very, very hard ask. Okay. Fortunately, if they know about us first, we have an advantage there because they're not going to be corrupted by the greater space. But if they are already in the greater space, it's very important that we make sure that we leave a good example in their city as a shining beacon to be a welcome sign so that they're interested in the other stuff that we built over here.
So I don't know if this is what you were specifically saying, but Ren says to your response about that question, he says, I agree. I don't think he's going to use that to pump the chain. That's a little too obvious of a trade. I mean, all eyes are on it. Is that necessarily, I mean, do you, and I get what you're saying.
Sorry, guys, I lost the audio. I had to refresh it, and now I've lost where they're talking about Hex. But I think it's further ahead, but we may as well. I'm not sure, to be honest. So we may as well just listen to it. And it was a good conversation. Shout out to Creator Crypto, and let's just listen to it now. And hopefully, and I'll let you know if we get to it. Otherwise, maybe we try and go back again. It's a conversation started by Ewok here, talking about Hex, which is what we wanted to hear about. But unfortunately, StreamYard let me down.
Saying like it's pointless to just focus on that, but
y'all ain't gonna see shit coming on Ethereum, are you? EHEX can pump overnight, double overnight, and you'd never see it.
I think this is it now, guys. This is it. Pin back your ears again. Sorry, technical fault. I had to refresh, and then I lost where I was. But we're doing it now, guys. Let's go. Let's go.
Coming,
right?
Because you're watching the wrong places, and it's too busy of a city for you to ever see it coming.
Yeah,
PulseChain is a very, very small little ecosphere. When things and transactions happen over there, you're able to watch and track everything. But you know what? You ain't gonna see what comes in from Ethereum. You can watch the bridge, but guess what, guys? There's not just one bridge anymore. You're gonna have your work cut out for you before you get blindsided.
So do you think some of that money could be like, it sounds like this is what you said, but I mean, the fact that it's just out there demonstrating that he can hold it, demonstrating that we've got this money in this ecosystem. Do you think that will be the long-term purpose? That I don't want to call it like the carrot on a stick, that because obviously some people are thinking that this is all going to get injected or some.
What do people talk about though, broke boy? They talk about how many coins Michael Saylor holds, right? Don't they talk about how many coins Michael Saylor holds? Isn't it always about these? Michael Saylor would be nobody if he didn't hold that Bitcoin. Nobody cared.
Good point.
Why would Richard want to hold large amounts of Ethereum? To be a player, to be taken seriously by his peers. He demands respect. I demand respect, he says. Well, he's got to do things to demand his respect from his peers. We're not his peers. We're not his peers at all. He ain't coming to hang out with us. We ain't going to have burgers with him. Okay, we're not his peers. Okay, so plain and simple, he is not doing this on a level of what random Joe Blow with his $50 in PulseChain wants him to do. He's doing this on a level to draw attention and draw larger market shares from larger investors. He doesn't have to market to us. We're already here.
Yeah, we're here.
None of what you're watching Richard do has anything to do with you. If you're watching this video, anything Richard's doing right now has absolutely nothing to do with you. He is not even speaking to you anymore. You're already in. He doesn't need to speak to you. He doesn't need to answer your questions. He doesn't need to pat you on the shoulder and say it'd be okay. He doesn't have to do any of that. He is reaching for a broader market to bring more people to his chain, to have a productive chain that is successful so that everybody can be part of that successful chain. And that's going to take new people coming in, not everybody bitching, whining, and moaning about everything not going within the time frame that they want it to.
Well said. Yeah, I think that's something that everybody could take home. That they all think what he is doing and his actions are relevant completely to them and for their purpose. So I think it's lost on them that there's a bigger purpose out there. Yeah, DJ Moonboy wants to know, Johnny, what's in the cup? What are we drinking there tonight? We've got a
Jay Sputnik knows. Jay Sputnik guessed it right off the bat. No, it ain't diet. Do I look like I need to go on a diet? Y'all saying I'm thick?
Dr. Pepper.
Oh, wait. So it is.
Y'all saying I'm thick? Am I extra husky or what?
Oh,
I'm pulling the chin here a little bit. For a beautiful picture.
Hot take, man. I would actually rather have diet. I used to be addicted to Diet Dr. Pepper when I was a kid. Yeah.
Thanks for the super chat, DJ Moonboy. We appreciate it.
Appreciate that, pal. Any final thoughts here, Ewok? Any other things you want to ask, or Johnny? Just final thing that we can leave everybody with tonight.
No, I did bring up this before we even started to Johnny. I said the more that I think.
Here it is, guys. At last. Apologies, Creed of Crypto, for playing half your stream on here. I only meant to play a short clip. Please, everyone who subscribed to Crypto 7, do also subscribe to Creed of Crypto. Shout out to Broke Boy here. Shout out to Ewok. Let's hear it. Let's light it up, guys. We've got the sexy Hex conversation at last playing on Crypto 7.
Think about it. The more I think about things the way they are, I'm growing to like eHex even more. You got a lot of situational things. A lot of people have sold. Bank X is out.
Yeah,
that was the
they're better holders than
so long.
Yeah,
they are better holders than a lot of people. Absolutely. So, yeah, it just, the more I think about it, the more I like it. It's a bargain. It's easier to find. People Google Hex, they're going to get that one first. There's no doubt about it. So
and yeah. You know what? Richard wouldn't be bitching about which chart is which if they both were the same damn chart.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter. And unfortunately, like I said, I really do think on the PulseChain side, it's artificially inflated as a base of founder bias. I think, the other side was artificially suppressed due to Bank X and the fear of look, everybody that's afraid that Richard might come out and FUD it again, why is he going to do more brand damage to himself? Because we've already seen how much damage that's caused. It doesn't make any sense. Then nobody would buy any Hex at all.
That's a very, very strong point. Very, very strong point. What we saw was we didn't get Hex on PulseChain pumping hard and eHex dropping. We got everything dropping. So he's learned his lesson there. And as we say on Crypto 7, the only reason he did it was because Richard has a bit of an ego, and he couldn't resist pointing out the compliment the community had given him by valuing the clone, the fake Rolex, higher than the real Rolex, as we say on Crypto 7. But don't overread that. You know, they are the same code, but it's very, very rare, unheard of, that the copy has more value than the real thing.
You literally have to say, okay, if he's going to cause more brand damage to Hex, it's going to go across the board. It's going to damage both. You know, so, and I think the people that are already reactive to what Richard says have already reacted to what Richard has to say. And the reality is, Hex did what it did on 20,000 stakers and a lot more volume than what we got going on right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, a lot more was available on the market for people to buy. It's just not there. And a lot more people know about it today than they did back then. And when new people come in and old people want back in, they're going to be competing with the new people to get back in at the higher price points, and they're going to have much smaller bags.
Of course they are. This is Johnny Chaos Pure Alpha. This is Johnny on fire at the end of this stream from Creative Crypto, which was very good. And just imagine everyone the talk. I mean, you know, everyone's going back to Hex on Ethereum. I mean, we would just go to the moon. $10 Hex, $20 Hex. If you're listening to this now and you don't have Hex on Ethereum, what are you doing? If you're listening to this now and this doesn't make you think, just in case this old man's right, I'm going to get myself $1,000 worth of Hex on Ethereum, then what are you doing? Because you're going to be looking back in anger, to quote Oasis. Fantastic. Let's listen on.
Because so everybody who left, you know your way back. We ain't worried about you. And if new people want to come in and take the positions and value it more than you, then you deserve the price that you get back. You know what you hold, value what you hold. All code is not created equal. This stuff is different.
Yeah, people just don't realize it. And my final point on that was there is becoming so little left that's for sale.
Yeah.
So imagine there's a lot of wealthy people in PulseChain. I'm not saying we abandon PulseChain. I'm saying, what if we just pump Hex on Ethereum first? I think this was a narrative the PDI guys used. Let's pump PDI first, get everyone's attention. I've said before that in some ways, Hex on Ethereum is very appealing to the PDI guys because it's a bit contrarian, because it will pump hard and it will pump fast. And that's what we want, isn't it? We're all here to make money at the end of the day. Show me the money. If we can get everyone talking about Hex, let's start with Hex on Ethereum. Let's convert people over to the values of Richard Heart, Johnny Chaos, Broke Boy, and Ewok. Let's get people converted over. Then they will happily bridge over to PulseChain and take some of their economic energy there as well. But let's do it sequentially. Just as the PDI guys said, let's pump PDI first, then we promise to pump Hex on PulseChain. What about if we pump Hex on Ethereum first? So you got to have a position in Hex on Ethereum. Put 7 in the chat if you've got a position in Hex on Ethereum. You know, just in case I'm right. Just in case I'm right. So to summarize this stream, what I'm saying is we need to embrace the fear. In my 10 years in crypto, anytime I was fearful, I knew it was a time to be greedy. I subsequently learned it was a time to be greedy. Anytime I was greedy, I subsequently learned it was a time to take profit. So are we fearful or are we greedy? I'm quite fearful. I'm quite fearful this cycle might suddenly end if I'm honest about it. And that tells me because of my 10 years, it can't be the case. I can't, then I listen to the TA guys who aren't emotional like Crypto 7. So I'm a human being. I listen to the TA guys who are very analytical. That's why they do that stuff. And they're like saying, oh, this is where we're going to be. We needed this correction. And expect, 130 in the next 10 days? Okay, great. Hopefully that will accompany a 5K Ethereum, and that will then accompany some further gains in crypto. But also what we seem to be seeing is that this cycle is breaking down completely. We've never seen gold doing this before. We've never seen silver doing this before. And who would have thought that? We've never seen this level of institutional interest before, anything remotely like. So now, last cycle we were saying there's some institutional interest in our product. We've got a few institutions involved with us. Now we've been totally colonized. Like Canada. Shout out to Fast Abdul. We've been totally colonized like Canada. We've got Larry Fink's face on our banknotes. Are you saying they're not going to pump us to the moon when they're so anxious about the dollar? We've also got Richard Heart's birthday to be bullish about. I mean, as a community, we just need something to get round. If it can be Hex on Ethereum, why not? It appeals to the contrarians who aren't in Hex on PulseChain. It appeals to anyone who's looking to make big gains out of small investment, because that opportunity is available in Hex on Ethereum. I don't know whether what I'm saying is going to create an economic move into Hex on Ethereum from PulseChain. But if it did, I can assure you that anyone who buys $1,000 of Hex on Ethereum now is going to become a millionaire. Because that's just the rules. I don't make the rules. That's just the numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. If we get a big move, then everyone's going to start going apeshit into Hex on Ethereum, particularly, obviously, if the TA is right and the fundamentals are right and the macro's right, which we know it is, and crypto continues to move. Just a little bit of a summary there. Happy birthday again to Richard Heart. And yeah, leave it there. I hope people got value, and I think I've covered it all. And we'll just go from there, you know. And the Wire writer says Ox Coast is great. Thanks to Johnny Chaos mention. Yeah, appreciate the mention there for Coast. And brilliant. Have a good day, but guys, as I say, I'm probably stream every other day, I think, at the moment. And I think it's just keep the faith. What else are you going to do at this point? And I'm confident, but we need some green candles. If we can get them in Hex on Ethereum, that's going to create a buzz. Everyone's going to feel happy again, and that then gets people buying the whole ecosystem up. And to some extent, they're all bonded anyway. So Hex on Ethereum does seem to be a fabulous move at the moment, particularly as the prices, as Crypto and Coffee was saying earlier in the stream, particularly as the prices are so low, guys. So shout out again to Creed of Crypto, Johnny Chaos, all the streamers, everyone doing the spaces. Chat to you all again soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.